Hello? Oh, we're filming today. I forgot. I have an audience. Are you guys here to watch the video tutorial on fraction concept? Good. All right, so today's topic is fractions. Remember the book that we read yesterday on the math curse, and we had this person that was given a curse by me. Yeah, that was me in the book. Yeah, given a curse. And the only way the person was able to break free of the curse was put a half and a half together to make a whole. And then they were free. Splat. Hello. So they were free. So that's what we're going to talk about today, are fractions. Well, what are they? Well, first of all, I think the important thing to know is what are fractions? They are parts of a whole or parts of a set. Important to understand that fractions are parts of a whole. So when you say 4/5, you are saying something like, hey, you see this shape right here? 4/5 of it is red. This is one whole shape, a pentagon, and 4 out of that 5 is red. Parts of a whole. Or fractions could be parts of a set. I know it's kind of hard to see. You can't really see this gray one right here. This one, it's really gray. Sorry about that. It's right in here. It's kind of... There's another star right here that you can't really see. But anyway, fractions could be also parts of a set. So there's 4/5 here that of this set that are orange. Also know that the number on the top is called the numerator. And the number on the bottom in the fraction is called the denominator. The numerator just represents how many parts that are shaded or represented, and the denominator represents how many equal parts that make up the whole. Equal parts. There are 5 equal parts here that make up the whole. So please write this down because there's red stars here. The other thing I just want to discuss is knowing when fractions are equivalent. Knowing when they are equivalent. For example, here is a drawing, pictures of fractions that are equivalent to other fractions. Like a half is equivalent to 2/4. A half is equivalent to 2/3, or I'm sorry, 3/6. A half is equivalent to 4/8. Okay? Over here, you might not be able to see this too well, but this right here, I have a 1/5. Well, a 1/5 is equivalent to 4/20. 1 out of 5 is equivalent to 4 out of 20. And what we're going to discuss is, you can't hardly see that right now from this video tutorial, but it's the same part of a whole. 1 out of 5 is the same part of a whole as 4 out of 20. Think about like a test and a quiz. If you get 8 out of 10 right, well, that's at 80%. If you get 80 out of 10 or 80 out of 100 right, that's at 80%. If you get 4 out of 5 right, that's at 80%. It still has the same value even though 1 was only out of 5 questions, 4, and I got 4 right. 1 was out of 10 questions, and I got 8 right. And 1 was out of 100 questions, I got 80 correct. They still have the same grade because it's the same part of a whole, same value. Okay, but let's discuss how you know when fractions are equivalent. How do we know when fractions are equivalent? So the first thing it says is when the numerator and denominator are multiplied by the same factor. So if you look here, these two fractions, this fraction here, or these two fractions are equal, where these two are not equal. And let's discuss different ways of knowing. One, it says if the numerator and denominator are multiplied by the same factor. So here, 2 times 2, well, that's 4. And 5 times 2, well, that's 10. Well, that's one way of knowing. They equal. That's one way. Over here, 2 times 2, 4. 5 times 2, uh-oh, not 10. So they don't equal. Those two fractions are not equivalent. Why? Because they are not multiplied by the same common factor. Over here, they are. Another way of knowing is if fractions are equivalent is by just simplifying to lowest terms. Now, what does that mean? For example, 4 and 10 share a common factor. The factors of 4 is 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. The factors of 10 are 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. 4 and 10 share a common factor 2. So you can simplify 4 and 10 by dividing both by 2. If I divide 4 by 2, I get 2. If I divide 5 by 2, I get 5. And you can see that 4/10 can be simplified to 2/5. So they equal. Over here, they don't share, like 4/15 does not share a common factor. It might look like it does, but again, the only factors of 4 is 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. The only factors of 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. They do not share a common factor, so you can't simplify this because it's already simplified. Therefore, these two fractions, again, do not equal each other because this is in lowest terms, this is in lowest terms. So one way of knowing is when you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same factor. A second way is just simplifying the lowest terms. And the third way, which is probably the way most of you guys will do or use because it's so simple, is the butterfly method. And in the butterfly method, you just cross multiply and write the product, cross multiply and write the product, and if your product's the same, they equal. 5 times 4, 20. 10 times 2, 20. They equal. Here, cross multiply, 20. Here, cross multiply, 30. They don't equal. That is another way of knowing if fractions are equivalent. The other thing I want to discuss in this video tutorial is just knowing how do you know or identify mixed numbers and improper fractions and how to change a mixed number to an improper fraction. So up here, there are some students, if I say, hey, what do you see up here? There are some students will say, I see 3 and 1/4. And I get that. They see 1 whole, 2 whole, 3 whole, and then they see a 4th. Every now and then, though, you'll have somebody will say, well, I see 13/4. And you're like, what? 13/4. Well, because right here, you have 4/4. And here you have 4/4. And here you have 4/4. And here you have 1/4, which gives you a total of how many fourths? 4/4 plus 4/4 plus 4/4 plus 1/4 is 13/4. So we're going to discuss how to change a mixed number to an improper fraction and how to change a improper fraction to a mixed number. Well, if you don't know, this thing is called a mixed number, and it's just a whole number and a fraction. And this thing here is called an improper fraction. And what makes something improper? Well, something's improper or a fraction's improper when the numerator is the same as the denominator or bigger. When the numerator is the same or bigger, that's known as an improper fraction. So, write this information down. We're going to discuss how to convert a mixed number to an improper fraction and how to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number. Go ahead and write that down. Press pause if needed. So here, if you want to change a mixed number to an improper fraction, just multiply the denominator by the whole number. That's what it says first. And then it says add the numerator. So here I'm going to multiply the denominator by the whole number, which is 6, and add the numerator. I get 7/2. So 3 1/2 just gives me 7/2. Notice the denominator stays the same. 3 1/2 gives me 7/2. Likewise here, it says if you want to change an improper fraction to a mixed number, divide the numerator by the denominator. So I'm going to divide the numerator by the denominator. 9 divided by 4, well, that's 2 whole. Well, it says here the divisor is the whole number. The 2 is your whole number. Whatever you have left over here is your new numerator. So my 1 is my new numerator. And the denominator still stays the same. 9/4 gives me 2 1/4. So the last thing I want to do real quick is just simplify these fractions. Now this one here, I need to change this one to something different because this is the exact same problem. And I'll tell you what to do here. So I'm going to give you a problem that will say, quickly x over 5 equals, let's do 20, okay. Let's do that one for, okay. So what I want you to do is solve these 5 problems. The first 3, tell me what x must equal in order for these fractions to be equivalent. And then the last 2, well, I just want you to change this mixed number. Oh, that's the same one that I just gave, didn't I? Let's just change that one too. All right. How about we change this one to change this mixed number to an improper fraction and change this improper fraction to a mixed number. So that's it. That's it. To the end of today's lessons on fraction concepts. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tomorrow we'll go over these topics. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.